My siblings humiliated me and barred me from their weddings, so I excluded them from mine, and the fallout left them stunned. The rain came down in sheets, slamming against the jagged cliffs of Bar Harbor, Maine, as I clung to the rocks, my 10-year-old fingers slipping on the slick granite. The ocean roared below, a hungry beast waiting to swallow me whole. I wasn't supposed to be here, hiding in the shadows of my brother James's wedding venue, a sprawling coastal estate glowing with chandeliers and laughter. They'd banned me, my own family, because I was just a kid. But I wasn't just any kid. I was Clara Bennett, the youngest of 5, and I'd snuck out to prove I belonged. The storm had other plans. A wave crashed over the cove, dragging me toward the edge. My scream was lost in the wind, and for a moment I thought I'd die there, alone, while my family danced without me. That was 18 years ago, but the memory still burns. I'm 28 now, a lawyer with a corner office overlooking Bar Harbor's quaint harbor, where lobster boats bob like they haven't a care in the world. My life looks perfect on paper. A rising star at my firm, engaged to Daniel Harper, a journalist with a smile that could disarm a courtroom. But beneath the surface, there's a wound that never healed. A wound carved by my siblings, James, Nathan, Olivia, and Ethan, who treated me like an afterthought my entire life. They're the golden children of the Bennett family, a name that carries weight in this town, synonymous with wealth, power, and pristine reputations. I was the odd one out, the baby born late, a glitch in their perfect narrative. Tonight, I'm sitting in my apartment, the lighthouse beam sweeping across the fog outside, when my phone buzzes. It's a text from my mother, Evelyn. "Clara, we need to talk about the wedding invitations." My stomach twists. She's not talking about my wedding to Daniel, set for next month at the lighthouse. She's talking about the fact that I didn't invite my siblings, not one of them. And they're furious. The Bennetts don't handle rejection well, especially not from me, the sister they've spent years dismissing. I can already hear the town gossip. Clara Bennett, the ungrateful daughter, tearing her family apart. But they don't know the half of it. They don't know what it cost me to get here, or the secrets I've uncovered that could unravel the Bennett legacy. Let me take you back to where it all began, to the moments that forged me in fire and left me with no choice but to draw a line in the sand. I was 10 when James, the eldest, announced his engagement to Victoria, a socialite with a smile as sharp as a switchblade. The wedding was the event of the decade, held at the Cliffside Manor, all glass walls and ocean views. I was thrilled, imagining myself in a dress, standing beside my big brother, who I thought hung the moon, but then came the bombshell, child-free. I didn't understand at first. I wasn't some toddler who'd spill punch on the cake. I was his sister, surely they'd make an exception. "Clara, honey," my mother said, her voice syrupy with pity. "It's an adults-only event. You'll stay with a nanny." I stared at her, my heart sinking. "But I'm not like other kids," I pleaded. "I'll be quiet, I promise." She patted my head like I was a puppy and walked away. My father, Richard, didn't even look up from his newspaper. That night I cried until my pillow was soaked. But I wasn't giving up. If they wouldn't let me in, I'd find my own way. That's how I ended up at the cove during the storm. I'd snuck out, climbed the cliffs to the manor's edge, desperate to glimpse the wedding. The rain was relentless, the wind howling like a banshee. I hid behind a boulder, watching the golden light spill from the windows, hearing the faint clink of champagne glasses. Then the wave hit. It yanked me toward the sea, my nails scraping rock as I fought to hold on. I don't know how I survived, but I dragged myself back, soaked and shivering, and ran home. The nanny never noticed I was gone. Neither did my family. James came back from his honeymoon all smiles and never mentioned me missing his big day. It was like I didn't exist. 2 years later, Nathan, the second oldest, got engaged. His wedding was on a yacht, a floating palace off the Maine coast, all sleek lines and caviar. I was 12, old enough to know better, but still naive enough to hope. I practiced my manners, kept my room spotless, thinking maybe this time they'd see me as worthy. But no. "Mature vibe only," Nathan's fiancée said, and my parents nodded like it was gospel. I was left with another nanny, my dreams of belonging sinking faster than a stone. I couldn't let it go. I biked to the docks, found a supply boat, headed to the yacht, and stowed away in a crate of linens. The sea was choppy, the boat rocking like a cradle in a hurricane. I thought I'd made it until a deckhand found me just as a squall hit. The boat lurched and I slid toward the edge, the railing inches from my grasp. A crew member yanked me back, cursing, and radioed the yacht. Nathan's team sent me ashore humiliated, while guests whispered about that kid causing trouble. I overheard one say, "Why does she even try? She's not one of them." That cut deeper than the cold. By 15, I was tougher, but Olivia's wedding broke something in me. She planned it on a cliffside, all wild flowers and sunset vows. At first, she said everyone was welcome, and my heart soared. Finally, I'd be included. But the family, our aunts, uncles, and their endless opinions, pushed for no kids under 16. I was 15, 1 year shy. I went to Olivia, my big sister, the one I'd always wanted to be like. "Please," I said, my voice steady despite the lump in my throat. "I'm your sister. Let me come." She looked at me, her eyes cold. "If I let you, what about the other kids? It's not fair, Clara." "Fair?" I lost it. "Fair," I shouted. "You've all shut me out my whole life. I'm not just some kid. I'm your family." She didn't budge. Instead, her fiancé, a smug lawyer named Greg, threatened to sue me for disrupting their plans. My parents backed him, grounding me for a year. A year. I spent it in my room, stewing, my anger hardening into resolve. Ethan's wedding, when I was 17, was the final nail. It was at a winery, all rustic charm and rolling hills. I didn't even ask to go. I knew the drill. Child-free, no Clara. But my cousin Lily, barely 18, got an invite. She was only months older than me, but she'd hit the magical age of adult. I heard about it through the family grapevine, the whispers of how Lily danced while I sat home, invisible. I sent Ethan a curt text. "Congrats." Then I locked my door and didn't come out. Those years shaped me, but they also broke me. My siblings weren't just older, they were a clique, a fortress I could never breach. James, the charismatic CEO, always led the charge. Nathan, the finance bro, followed suit with his smug grin. Olivia, the influencer with a perfect Instagram life, cared more about optics than me. Ethan, the youngest of them, was the closest to my age, but still kept me at arm's length. My parents, Evelyn and Richard, were their cheerleaders, always excusing their behavior. "They're busy," they'd say. "You'll understand when you're older." But I understood plenty. I was the spare, the kid they didn't know what to do with. Fast forward to now. I'm engaged to Daniel, the one person who saw me when no one else did. We met at a legal conference, him scribbling notes for a story, me arguing a case. He's got this way of listening, really listening, that makes you feel like you're the only person in the room. When I told him about my siblings, how they'd banned me from every wedding, he didn't sugarcoat it. "That's not normal, Clara," he said, his jaw tight. "They chose to exclude you. That's on them." For the first time, I let myself believe it wasn't my fault. Our wedding is a month away, set at the old lighthouse on the edge of town. It's small, intimate, just 50 guests. Friends, a few cousins who've been kind, and Daniel's family, who've welcomed me like their own. My siblings aren't invited. Not James, not Nathan, not Olivia, not Ethan. It wasn't a decision I made lightly, but it was mine. I want people who care about me, not people who show up to save face. But the Bennetts don't take kindly to being left out, and the fallout has already begun. It started with that text from my mother, but it didn't end there. 2 weeks ago, I got a letter from James, not an email, not a text, a handwritten letter sealed with wax like he's some 19th century lord. I should have known better than to open it alone. When I broke the seal, a cloud of ink exploded, burning my hands like acid. I dropped the letter, gasping, my skin blistering. Daniel rushed me to the ER, where they treated chemical burns. The letter itself was a threat, cloaked in James's polished prose. "Family is forever, Clara. You can't erase us. Reconsider or you'll regret it." I filed a police report, but James is untouchable, a pillar of Bar Harbor's elite. The cop shrugged, saying it was probably a prank. Then the media got involved. Someone, my money's on Olivia, leaked my decision to the local press. The Bar Harbor Times ran a headline, "Bennett Family Feud, Youngest Daughter Excludes Siblings from Wedding." The article painted me as a vengeful, ungrateful child, twisting my pain into a soap opera for clicks. James fueled the fire with a Facebook post. "Family means forgiveness, not grudges. I pray Clara finds peace." The comments were brutal, half the town calling me a monster, the other half whispering I might have a point. My firm's partners called me in, hinting that the scandal could cost me my job. "We can't have this drama," they said. I walked out, my head high, but my hands were shaking. The family group chat blew up next. Nathan, always blunt, typed, "You're tearing us apart, Clara. This is low, even for you." Olivia chimed in with crocodile tears. "I thought we were past this. Why can't you let go?" I didn't reply. I left the chat, my phone buzzing with their messages, until I muted it. But the real blow came yesterday when my parents showed up at my apartment unannounced. Evelyn stormed in, her pearl necklace gleaming like armor. "Clara, this has gone far enough," she snapped. "You will invite your siblings or you're no longer a Bennett." I laughed, a bitter sound that surprised even me. "A Bennett? When have I ever been one of you? You let them shut me out my whole life." Richard, usually silent, stepped forward, his voice like gravel. "You're ungrateful. We gave you everything." "Everything," I shot back. "You gave me nannies and excuses while they got your love." They left, slamming the door, but not before Evelyn hissed, "You'll be sorry, Clara." I should be scared, but I'm not. I'm angry. Angry enough to dig into the past to find answers. There's a locked box in my parents' attic, one I found years ago but never opened. It's full of letters from my siblings, written when I was a kid. I don't know what they say, but I know they're important. Why hide them? And then there's the secret I overheard at James's wedding, crouched in that cove before the wave nearly took me. He was talking to a local politician, something about a deal, money changing hands. I was too young to understand, but I'm not anymore. I'm a lawyer, trained to uncover truths, and I'm done being the forgotten sister. The town's divided now. Half of Bar Harbor sees me as a traitor, spitting on family values, the kind of thing that stings in a place where tradition is king. James and Olivia lead the charge, rallying aunts, uncles, and their socialite friends to shame me. They're the loyal Bennetts, guardians of legacy, spinning a tale of forgiveness and unity. But there's another side, quieter but growing. Ethan, of all people, sent me a cryptic text last week. "I get why you did it. I'm sorry." He's wavering, caught between James's faction and the truth. Some cousins like Lily are whispering support, saying they've seen the Bennett's cruelty up close. The split is tearing the family apart, and I'm at the center, a lightning rod for their rage and guilt. As I sit here, the lighthouse beam cutting through the fog, I know this is just the beginning. Olivia's hired a private investigator. I saw him tailing me yesterday, his car swerving too close, my brakes failing on a coastal road. I barely made it out alive. Nathan's threats are escalating, and I'm sure he's behind the rumors circling my firm. And James? He's planning something bigger, I can feel it, like the storm that nearly drowned me all those years ago. But I'm not that kid anymore. I'm Clara Bennett, and I'm ready to fight for the life I deserve, even if it means burning the Bennett name to the ground. The fog was thick as I stood in my office, the Bar Harbor skyline swallowed by a gray shroud. My hands, still scarred from James's ink trap, trembled as I read the latest headline on my phone. "The bride who banished her family. Clara Bennett's vendetta rocks Bar Harbor." The Bar Harbor Times had doubled down, quoting anonymous family sources who called me a bitter, selfish daughter. My siblings, James, Nathan, Olivia, had weaponized the press, turning our private war into a public spectacle. I wanted to scream, to march into their perfect lives and demand they face me. But I was Clara Bennett, the lawyer who'd learned to fight with precision, not rage, and I was done letting them control the narrative. It was 3 weeks to my wedding, and the lighthouse where Daniel and I would say our vows felt like a beacon in the storm. But the storm was growing, and it wasn't just words anymore. Last night, I'd nearly died. I was leaving a pre-wedding meeting at a downtown cafe when a man in a black hoodie cornered me in the parking garage. His voice was low, gravelly, like he'd smoked a pack a day. "Nathan says back off, or next time you won't walk away." Before I could react, he lunged, a glint of steel in his hand. I stumbled back, my heel catching on a crack, and screamed. Daniel, who'd been waiting by the car, tackled him, pinning him long enough for me to scramble to safety. The thug vanished into the shadows, leaving us shaken but alive. Daniel pulled me close, his voice fierce. "I won't let them touch you, Clara. I swear it." We reported it to the police, but Nathan's name carried weight. The case was under investigation, which meant nothing would happen. Now, standing in my office, I felt the walls closing in. My phone buzzed again, another text from Ethan, the only sibling I hadn't fully written off. "You're being petty, Clara. This isn't you." I stared at the words, my chest tightening. Ethan, who'd always been the softest, the one I thought might understand, was turning on me. Or was he? His text felt off, like he was parroting someone else's words. Before I could respond, another message came through, this time from Olivia. "Family traitor, you'll regret this." I blocked them both, my fingers shaking. I was done with their games, but the silence that followed felt like the calm before a hurricane. The hurricane hit that afternoon. My boss, Mr. Caldwell, called me into his office, his face grim. "Clara, this feud is bad for business," he said, tossing a tabloid on his desk. The cover screamed, "Bennett family scandal. Lawyer daughter disowns kin. Clients are asking questions. The partners want you to drop this, or you're out." I gripped the chair, my knuckles white. Drop what? My wedding? My life? They're the ones attacking me. Caldwell sighed, leaning back. "You're a liability, Clara. Fix it or you're done." I walked out, my career hanging by a thread, the weight of my family's vendetta crushing me. Back at my apartment, Daniel was waiting, his laptop open to a social media storm. James had posted again a photo of the family at his wedding, all smiles, with the caption, "We stand united, even when one turns away." The comments were a battlefield, half the town calling me a monster, the other half questioning the Bennett's perfect facade. "They're losing control," Daniel said, his eyes sharp. "That's why they're escalating." He was right, but it didn't make the blows hurt less. My Aunt Margaret called next, her voice dripping with condescension. "Clara, be the bigger person. Invite your siblings. Don't tear this family apart." I cut her off. "I'm done sacrificing myself for people who never cared." I hung up, my heart racing, but her words lingered. Was I tearing the family apart, or was I finally breaking free? That night, I couldn't sleep. The lighthouse beam swept through the fog, a reminder of the life I was fighting for. But another memory kept surfacing. The locked box in my parents' attic, the one I'd found at 16, hidden behind old Christmas decorations. It was heavy, padlocked, stuffed with letters from my siblings. I'd never opened it, scared of what I'd find, but now I needed answers. Why had my parents hidden it? What secrets were they keeping? I grabbed my coat, kissed Daniel, and drove to my childhood home, a colonial mansion on the cliffs. My parents were at a charity gala, the house dark. I used my old key, my heart pounding as I climbed to the attic. The box was still there, dustier but unchanged. I pried it open with a crowbar, the lock snapping like a gunshot. Inside were dozens of letters, some yellowed with age, addressed to my parents from James, Nathan, Olivia, and Ethan. I opened one from James, dated the year of his wedding. "Clara's too young to understand, but it's better this way. Victoria agrees. No kids, no drama." My stomach churned. Another, from Olivia, was worse. "Clara's always been clingy. Excluding her keeps things clean." But the real shock was a note from my mother, Evelyn, tucked at the bottom. "The children are right. Clara's presence would disrupt their days. It's for the best." I sat back, my breath shallow. My own mother had orchestrated my exclusions, not just allowed them. She'd chosen her golden children over me every time. I was still processing when my phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "I'm sorry about Ethan's wedding. I should have spoken up. LL. It was Lily, Ethan's wife, the only one who'd ever shown me kindness. Why was she apologizing now, anonymously? What did she know? I pocketed the letters, my mind racing. The attic felt suffocating, the shadows whispering betrayal. I drove home, the letters burning a hole in my bag, but I didn't tell Daniel yet. I needed time to understand what I'd found, to piece together the puzzle of my family's cruelty. The next week was a blur of chaos. The media frenzy intensified, tabloids splashing my face across newsstands, the bride who hates her family. James and Olivia fanned the flames, hosting interviews where they played the victims, tears in their eyes as they mourned Clara's betrayal. But cracks were showing. Ethan hadn't joined their media circus, and Lily's note suggested he might be wavering. Some cousins, like my old friend Sarah, texted support. "You're not alone, Clara. They've hurt us too." The family was splitting, James and Olivia leading a faction hell-bent on destroying me, while Ethan and a few others hovered on the edge, torn between loyalty and truth. Bar Harbor was a powder keg, and I was the spark. Then came the call from my father, Richard. He didn't bother with pleasantries. "Clara, you're done," he said, his voice cold as steel. "You're no daughter of mine, I'm cutting you out of the will." I laughed, a sharp, bitter sound. "You think I want your money? You've never given me anything that matters." He hung up, but his words echoed, a reminder of the family I'd never truly had. Daniel held me as I cried, not for the inheritance, but for the little girl who'd begged to be loved. The danger escalated the next day. I was driving to a client meeting when my brakes failed on a coastal road, the car careening toward a cliff. I yanked the wheel, skidding onto the shoulder, my heart pounding. A mechanic later confirmed sabotage. Someone had cut the brake line. I knew it was Olivia's doing. She'd hired that investigator, the one who'd tailed me before. I filed another police report, but the Bennett's influence ran deep. The case stalled, and I felt like a target in my own town. With the wedding looming, I was on edge, paranoid that my family would crash it. Daniel sensed my fear and pulled me close. "They won't ruin this, Clara. I won't let them." His words were a lifeline, but the pressure was crushing me. My firm gave me an ultimatum: end the feud or lose my job. I refused, drafting a resignation letter I hadn't sent yet. I wasn't ready to give up everything I'd built, but I wouldn't bow to their demands either. The day before the wedding, I found another clue. Tucked in the box of letters was a faded photo of James with a local politician, the same one I'd overheard at his wedding talking about a deal. Scribbled on the back was the number, a bank account. My lawyer's instincts kicked in. Was this the scandal James was hiding? Had my siblings' weddings been covers for something darker? Something my mother had helped orchestrate? I needed more evidence, but time was running out. The wedding day dawned clear, the lighthouse standing proud against a sapphire sky. I woke with a knot in my stomach, half expecting James to storm in with a lawyer or Nathan to send another thug, but Daniel was there, his steady presence grounding me. "Today's about us," he said, kissing my forehead. "Let them try to stop it." I nodded, slipping into my dress, a simple ivory gown that felt like armor. My best friend Jenna, my maid of honor, helped with my veil, her eyes soft. "You're a warrior, Clara. Don't forget that." The ceremony was everything I'd dreamed. 50 guests, friends and cousins who'd chosen me over the Bennett machine, gathered in the lighthouse garden. The sea sparkled, gulls wheeling overhead, and for a moment I forgot the war raging outside. Then I saw him, Ethan, slipping in at the back, his face unreadable. My heart stopped. Was he here to sabotage me, or was he breaking ranks? Lily was with him, her hand on his arm, and I remembered her note. Before I could process it, a commotion broke out. A local reporter, camera in hand, had snuck past security, trying to film my reaction to my family's absence. Daniel's brother, Mark, escorted him out, but the intrusion stung. Even on my day, they wouldn't leave me alone. I pushed it aside, focusing on Daniel. As we stood under the gazebo, his vows cut through the noise. "Clara, you're my home, my fight, my everything. I'll stand by you always." Tears streamed down my face as I promised the same, my voice steady despite the chaos. The crowd cheered, their love wrapping around us like a shield. Ethan clapped, a small gesture, but it sent a ripple through the guests. James's faction would hear of this, and the rift would deepen. The reception was a burst of joy. Lanterns glowing, music drifting over the cliffs, friends toasting our courage. Sarah raised a glass to Clara, who showed us family is what you choose. I laughed, my heart full, but then Jenna pulled me aside. Your cousin Tom just told me something, she whispered. James and Evelyn threw a gala tonight, a rival event to mock your cheap wedding. I burst out laughing, the absurdity hitting me. Let them have their pity party, I said. This is my victory. As the night wound down, Ethan approached, Lily at his side. Clara, he said, his voice low, I'm sorry. I should have fought for you back then. I studied him, wary but hopeful. Why now, I asked. Lily answered, her eyes fierce. Because I told him the truth. About Evelyn, about everything. Before I could press her, Ethan handed me a letter. Read this later. It's from me, not them. I nodded, tucking it away, my mind spinning. What did Lily know about my mother's role? What was Ethan risking by being here? The dance floor was alive, Daniel pulling me into a slow sway. We did it, he whispered. You did it. I smiled, the weight of years lifting. My family wasn't here. But I didn't need them. I had Daniel, Jenna, Sarah, and now, maybe, Ethan. The Bennetts had lost their hold on me. But the war wasn't over. A week later, Olivia's email arrived, venom dripping from every word. You've destroyed our legacy, Clara. You'll pay. Extended family piled on, guilt-tripping me with calls and texts, swayed by James's lies. Then Evelyn showed up at my office, her face a mask of rage. You've humiliated us, she spat. I pulled out the letters from the attic, slamming them on my desk. You planned it, Mom. You chose them over me every time. She froze, her mask cracking, and left without a word. James escalated, threatening a lawsuit for slander, claiming I'd defamed the family. I hired my own lawyer, digging into that bank account number from the photo. It led to a shell company tied to James's business, a money laundering scheme, with my mother's signature on the papers. I had them now, but exposing it would destroy more than just them. I held off, moving with Daniel to a new home, a cottage by the sea, far from their reach. The final blow came from Ethan's letter, slipped into my bag at the wedding. Clara, I was weak. I let James and Evelyn control me. Lily showed me the truth. Evelyn paid to keep you out, to protect our image. I'm done with them. You're the strongest of us. I cried, not for pain, but for closure. Ethan had broken free, and so had I. Standing on our porch, the ocean stretching before us, I felt whole. The Bennetts could keep their name, their money, their lies. I had Daniel, my chosen family, and a career I'd fight for. I was Clara Bennett, not their shadow, but a light of my own making. And no one could take that away.